request to rezone the property located at 2519 and 2531 29th Street, Bedford, Indiana, 47421, formerly known as the Broadview Bowl, from B1 Convenience District to I1 Light Industrial to put storage units on this property. Your vote.
Ask away.
Might tell them what you're,
Okay,
what you're proposing to do on it. And
All
also
right,
just
so-
for the board, real quick. I have drawings here that are a little bit bigger than what you have. If you'd like to see those, I can pass them down. All right,
Okay. So right now we're planning on doing 2 phases. The first is 6 buildings. The second phase is 7 buildings, so it'll be 13 buildings total. They'll all be uniform color, metal buildings. Have a 6-foot black coated chain link fence around the entire thing, a 20-foot motor gate, sorry, I can't think of the word, with a pin pad for entrance and exit. Security systems, cameras throughout the entire property. Then I'll have adequate lighting. Until the second phase is done, it will only be a gravel for the base, and then we'll asphalt it after the second phase is done.
So there's already pavement there, right?
There is already pavement there, but we're gonna have to cut out the majority of it anyways for the concrete pads. So once we cut that out, we're just gonna rip it all out and just replace all of it.
Are you gonna demo the buildings?
The building will have to be demoed, yes. I don't know if anybody's seen the building. It's very, very bad. So, the roof caved in, or, Brandon, I think you were out there at one
Yeah.
point.
I can attest it is unsafe.
The roof caved in partially, probably when we bought it, I think we've owned it for 2 years now. I mean, it's covered in mold, it's bad. I know a lot of people want somebody to restore, it's beyond restoring. I mean, the roof alone is a couple $100,000. So, but it's not salvageable. If we could salvage it, we would, but it's not, so.
What's your time frame for getting to the second phase?
We wanna get ideally 90% occupancy out of the first phase, which we anticipate we can probably get by, end of year 1. So my guess would be probably the second year we would start on phase 2.
If it is rezoned to I2, was it I2?
I1.
I1. That's the highest designation you can get pretty much in the
I2.
industrial, or?
I2 is, but I1 falls for what he's wanting to do, which would be for personal storage units. It's the only one that fits for personal storage units, so it's either, it has to go to that in order for him to be able to do this type of business he's wanting to do on his property.
But he could also do many other types of businesses there if he chose to, if we do rezone to I1.
There's several things that he can do, yes.
Okay.
It falls with the clinics.
Okay.
There's a whole list of things on there. I didn't bring a list. I can pull it up if you need me to. You can
Okay.
read them all off if you would like. But yeah, there's other things that can be done on there.
Okay.
Everything around that, there's residences, there's a fire station just east, there's a beauty shop just south, there's scrubland that Jay is trying to sell to the north, there's the houses to the west. That's a different mix of zonings in there. I don't know about the beauty shop and even the fire station. I know they can fit in residential areas, but if we approve this, are we nesting an industrial 4 acres right in the middle of a residential area, basically? Is that what we would end up with here?
Well, it could be used for different uses like we just talked about. I mean, it might be best if I pull them up and tell you what could go there. And even in a business situation, under the B1 that it is now, you can have,
Quite a bit.
somebody can do quite a few different businesses in that as well, so. I wouldn't necessarily think that you as a board would be saying, hey, we're gonna try to industrialize this area. It's zoned for business. So no matter what, if he did say he wasn't gonna just do this, he could have multiple businesses in there and it would still be businessy. which would still gonna draw lots of people down to
I'm
residential
not
areas.
necessarily saying that I'm against it. That would be a decision to be made when we go to public, assuming we get there.
Yeah.
And people come in and talk about it. I just know there's a whole different connotation in a property owner's mind when
Right.
suddenly they're not butted up against a B2 or a B3,
Right.
they're up against an I something. That industrial, termination
Yeah.
it raises a lot of flags. And I was just wondering, I would like to see if you could even just send it out to us later, what else could go in there, because I think we're probably going to have a situation where there's going to be some pushback on it, just because it is going to an I from a B. Yeah, obviously, it's been a B since I was a kid. I remember when that place went in. And I just think we may be looking at some issues. It'd be nice to know what we can tell the folks, or
Yeah.
you can tell the folks, that we already know what could go in there. If you would change your mind and sell it to somebody else, or whatever, and the storage units did one. I know they're fairly benign, as far as being in the neighborhood, and we've done that before, but once it's an I, and you would decide to sell that property for some reason, we could get Larry Parsons could perhaps put in a recycle unit in there, who knows? I don't know what all the I-1 does for me.
So under a B1, so just so you know what a B1 has, let me show you it right here. So under a B1, you can have retail stores, service shops, restaurants, schools, churches, offices, financial institutions, taverns and nightclubs, clinics, private recreation facilities, funeral homes, government buildings, plant nurseries and greenhouses, radio, TV stations and studios, essential services, accessory use, transmission towers. And then if you go down to an I-1, which is what he's requesting to go to, you can have offices, lumber and building materials, auto body shops, recreational vehicle sales, truck sales, farm equipment sales, veterinary clinics, trade and technical schools, personal storage facilities is what he's wanting to do. That's the only category that those fall under, is the I-1. General contractors, businesses, plant nurseries, greenhouses, hay, grain and feed stores, government buildings, accessory uses, and essential services, and transmission towers.
So there's
A
not a lot of
the same-
difference from what businesses
Yeah.
go in versus what the industrial level would be restricted to in that, okay?
Right, and even under the B1 that it has, I mean, there's a lot of things under B1 that if somebody wanted to, could, without even having to come to the board, they could just do it. You could, there's a lot of things in there that would, I mean, it would, I don't know, just be more pretty good, I mean, pretty big businesses that you could have in there, I mean. I don't know, they have a lot of, looking at both of these, between B1 and I1, they're a lot of the same,
Mhm.
a lot of the same. There's just a few things in there that are a little bit bigger.
And this is a conversation probably for another time, but it seems like the storage units are maybe a little misplaced there in the I category, possibly.
They could probably actually be under other categories, but I think they limited it to where you would always have it in the one and try to keep them localized, so you just
Yeah.
don't have it under B1, B2, B3, you can just kind of throw them all over different towns, they like to localize it in one area. He's got a big lot here.
That's kind of double-edged sword though, too, having to zone it to I to
Yeah.
get the storage units when you could just,
Yeah.
then it could change.
But I get where you were coming from with, because it says I on it, makes it look industrial, but.
We've gone down that path a
We've been
few
down
times
it
over
before,
the
right.
years when that comes up, and I just
Yeah.
know that raises a lot of flags in the community.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that if this goes to the public meeting next month, you have that in your back pocket that you can.
We'll have it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like, what's there now is an eyesore. So I mean, at least what's going in, and Angel, I think Angel knows, I renovate houses, I'm a full-time realtor, I mean, build new construction, I don't do things on the cheap. So it's gonna be a nice facility. You know, I know you got a lot, and I wanna compare it to Storage Express. Storage Express, those are nice facilities. I mean, you know, the 24-hour access, under video surveillance, I mean, the security system's gonna have live feed. It's not gonna be an eyesore. So I don't think that it's gonna be as big of a deal with neighbors, whether it's that building sit there and keep rotting or a nicer facility go in. So I don't think it's gonna be as big of a deal, but I can see your concern.
We've had these discussions
Yeah.
before. That eye connotation just raises a lot of flags. I think you can show that there's not that much difference between the current zoning from what could go in there with nothing that we would do. It could just do it versus changing it to I and for this purpose, so.
And actually too, everything you mentioned as far as the housing, the apartments, the commercial over there, that is another reason that storage facility right there is ideal. Because you have all those businesses, all those people that need that extra storage, and it's right there. So, I mean, like you said, it is industrial, but I mean, I think it's more appealing than a lot of other things that could go there, so.
Are there any plans to have like RV or boat storage?
So in the beginning, until those other buildings are up there, it's a possibility. Nothing's set in stone on it, but it would be an additional way to generate some extra income until those other buildings go up. So, I mean, if that's a big deal, I mean, I don't even, would that fall under I, like boat and RV storage?
It would be under, this, for storage units, it would fall under.
It would fall under
personal
the same
storage,
thing. Okay.
because we're gonna rent the spots
Right.
from you there, but the board would have a say in, you know, whether they like that idea or not.
It's an extra layer, really.
Um,
It's another extra layer, for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, they can make requirements on it, like maybe they want the stuff to be kept to the back so it's not close to 29th Street or Illinois Street where you're seeing
Right.
them just piled up. Maybe they're on one side and then your storage units kind of hide them, so those are options that could come up later on in discussion.
Yeah,
If
because-
it gets to that point.
So if you look at that sheet, it looks weird the way they're staggered, but I found out after I bought it that the city of Bloomington has a nice easement right down the middle of that property at an angle, so it kind of screwed with a lot of things in there. So, and all the way in that, if you're looking at the aerial on it, the back right corner, that's gonna be the most usable area for that RV and boat storage if I go that route. Because there's not enough room to get buildings there with the amount of, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think of it right now. Do what?
The setback on the easements?
Yeah, and I mean, cause I don't wanna put a building on top of their easement and they have to access it, now I have to tear down part of my building, so we intentionally staggered them like that. So they have, 20 feet to work around those units. So, but yeah, if they did go in after all the units were completed, it would be in that back corner. So, and even then, you're not gonna get massive RVs back there, I mean, it's gonna be more, 16, 20-foot boats, tucked away where you probably won't even see them, so.
And Brandon, we do have the ability to, mandate that be a privacy fence, maybe on the, west side,
Yes, you can.
behind the, residential
Yeah, that's
area
fine.
of it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think I'm open to a motion to push it to a public hearing, and if there are plans for RV, boat, vehicle storage, seeing what that is at the next meeting before making any, it'd be nice to see what that is and having a stipulation that maybe that section, if it's gonna be used for that, is more private.
That's what I was thinking.
Absolutely, cause yeah, I mean, if you've got that residential behind it, I mean, you've got some on the side where that alleyway is. I don't think a privacy fence in the backyard or in the back of that property is a bad idea at all. So, then obviously you've got the lot next door is vacant. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I think Fiddler owns that
Yes.
and has for quite some time. So I don't know that I know he's got it for sale, but I don't know that he's really motivated to sell anything, so. But yeah, I'm not opposed to that at all.
I would suggest on your final plan, you come back with a privacy fence included in that.
That's fine. I'll just have to go to the fence company.
I think it will help your position.
Just on that one side, just on the.
I think at least on the west side, maybe the north side as well.
Well, I think more on the north side than the west side. Well, Angel, do you know, are there houses directly behind that?
I think so.
Okay.
There is
Yeah.
homes on the west side, there's an alleyway.
On the west
behind
side,
your
yeah.
building, an
Okay.
old alleyway access area, that is all residential homes down through there, so. On the back side of your building, on the west side, that would be.
So I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot, cause it's gonna cost me more money, but I think on the west and the north side
That's what.
should be privacy.
That's
If
what
those are adjoining residential, then
I think I'm just more concerned with your boat and RV. If that that's at least where I was coming from with it, but yeah, directions with me don't go real great, so whatever you guys are thinking on that too is probably overkill.
the west
for us.
side towards Arby's, the north
Yeah,
side
Yeah.
well,
towards
BBTs
Bloomington.
is.
The west side is right here,
Yeah.
where the homes are.
Yes, yes.
And you know, if it is boat and RV, you'll get these little mom and pop places that just throw whatever they can in a property to make some extra money. It's not that, and I mean, I can sit there and try to explain that all day long, but it's gonna be very clean. So, I mean, if we did it, we're gonna have spots like labeled for boats and RVs. It's not gonna just throw something here and then put something there. There's gonna be some sort of, organization to it. So, and
Josh
again.
has improved a lot of property around town and built
Oh,
several things around
absolutely,
town
yeah.
and cleaned up areas, so.
Yeah, I think we've renovated a total of about 70 houses ourselves, so, but yeah, I'm a clean person, like, especially when it comes to my business. We don't put our name on something just to have it run down. So, but if you guys think privacy fence would even help that too, then I'd be all for it. So I just gotta get bids again, which isn't the end of the world, but.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to move it on to a, public hearing.
And I will second that.
I have a motion and a second to move it on to a public hearing. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Go to public, does it come back to us for a public hearing, just go planning?
Comes right back to you.
Okay, so it comes back to us next month.